Welcome to LHS Live, every Wednesday morning from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Where you'll hear from new guests every week on relevant topics. Community-based, student-driven. And now, your host, Joe Roberts.
Good morning, Panther Nation, and welcome to another edition of LHS Live. I'm Joe Roberts, and we are back, as we generally are, every Wednesday with special guests and cool topics. And today is no exception. I'm here today with the LHS Law Enforcement Program Coordinator and former policeman, Terry Higginbothom, affectionately known as Coach Hig, right?
That is correct.
Mainly because no one can say your last name, and I'm pretty sure I butchered it.
Or spell it.
Or spell it, that's right. And I'm also here with one of his top students, his aide-de-camp, as it were, Joe Garcia, and welcome to both of you guys.
We're happy to be here, right, Joseph?
Well, I'm so glad that you're happy to be here because you found out you were going to be here about 10 minutes ago, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so we're going to jump into a couple of different things. You are one of the most interesting men I know. No disrespect to the Dos Equis guy, but I think it's you. You have spent a long career in law enforcement before you made your way to here. Let's talk about that real quickly. Law enforcement, you were with the Pasadena
Police Department from August the 9th, 1976 till March the 24th of 2006.
Oh my, he started before you and I were even in existence.
That is correct.
Man.
I started actually when I was 20.
20 years old.
I had to get my dad to buy my shells because I wasn't old enough to buy shells. So, but I did turn 21 before I got out of the academy.
Man, that is crazy. 1976, the bicentennial year, and you're on the force in Pasadena. So when you started in 76 and then you ended, what did you say, 2000 and
2006.
2006, so 30 years. No.
That's correct.
Yeah, 30 years. How much did policing change from when you started to when you ended?
Well, we had walkie-talkies then that were about, I would say, 10 inches tall and about 6 inches wide. You didn't have to shoot a suspect. You could just throw the walkie-talkie at them and knock them out. And then by the time I got out, then we had little microphones and everything else. You had computers in your car. You didn't even have to write tickets. You could just slide their driver's license in there. I mean, it changed enormously.
When you started, were you, and forgive me because my experience with the police has generally been
the bad one?
No, a speeding ticket, or I've interacted with law enforcement on many occasions, but I don't really know about the inner workings of most police departments, and I'm sure a lot of people don't know the inner workings because, as you just said, they probably have only ever interacted in a way that's probably not the best for them. When you started, were you, what do they call that, a beat cop? Was that something in Pasadena?
You go through the academy, and then when you get out of the academy, you are what's known as a rookie, and you ride with an FTO, field training officer, for about 6 months. So the academy's 6 months, and you ride with someone else for 6 months. And you change every 2 months to get a different field training officer. And then if you make it past there, then they will put you on a shift, and then you work that shift until you either go to a different division or you stay there and work your way up in the ranks.
Okay. So you're married.
That is correct. My wife, dad was a police officer. Her brother was a police officer, and her mother was a police dispatcher.
So she was just ready to go right with the whole thing.
The one thing she told my son was, you cannot be a police officer.
So you, and how did you meet her? I mean, I know you just said her family were all police.
I went to college with her brother, and he said, hey, I need you to meet my sister. And so I met her, and I said, okay, I think I'm going to marry her.
All right. You were quite the athlete when you were younger and had more hair, I think, right?
Much more hair and a little different build.
So when you went to college, you went to college on an athletic scholarship, right?
That is correct. McNeese State University.
Oh, so we're not going to hold that against you. At least
No.
I'm a lumberjack, and so they were one of our rivals.
Well, you know, my son was supposed to become a lumberjack, and they got rid of their baseball program. So
Yeah, they did. So you went to McNeese for baseball, yes, or
Track.
Track, right? What did you do in track?
I was a sprinter.
Oh, see, this guy, is he fast?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Oh, see, okay.
But I do still hold the record in Dayton in the 100.
Oh, really? What was
It
that?
will never be broke.
Was that?
They don't run 100
Oh, that's
yards
right. They don't
anymore.
run the 100 yards, and you're correct. That will never be broken. You're good to go. So from McNeese, then you went to the police academy.
I went to McNeese and got my knee tore up, and I came home, and then my dad stuck me on an offshore drilling rig for 3 months to give me a little more incentive to either go back to school or do something. And anyway, I always wanted to be a police officer, so I was lucky enough, just dumb luck, to be able to get a job at the Pasadena Police Department. My wife's dad graduated from the Pasadena Police Department, even though he did not work for Pasadena. He actually worked for Jacinto City.
So as you're going through your police career, I'm sure you did many different things along the way. What was your favorite thing that you did as a police officer?
I was a K-9 officer. I was there about 4 years, and then I became a K-9 officer, and then I became the K-9 trainer, and then I became the K-9 coordinator. And then it was time to go to day shift, so I got out of K-9 and did that for a while.
So when you're training the dogs and the officers to use the dogs, is it hard to let a dog go once you've built a bond with the dog?
Well, it was for me because my dogs belonged to me. The other officers, the dogs belong to the police department. But at the same time, you know, they do. They become your partner. They live with you. They ride with you. They do everything with you. And we even teach them that only a couple of people can actually feed those dogs, because you don't want someone coming up to a patrol car and throwing in some burrito or something with poison on it, and then you have a dead police dog. So they're trained to only eat, we trained them to only eat from certain people.
So these dogs are not what you might call family-friendly dogs.
Very family friendly.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah, my dogs, my kids played with them. Now, if you come over and jump on my kids, then you got a problem.
Okay.
But no, they live with the family. They become part of the family.
Okay. See, I wasn't sure about that. Again, my only experience with those sorts of animals is the movies and TV, and I'm sure that's not super accurate in any way. So you've got this animal. Did you normally German Shepherd, Malinois? What were you going with?
Well, I trained several different breeds. I trained German Shepherd, which I had one of those. And she was actually the first female police K-9 in Texas. And she was picked the #1 police K-9 in Texas at the Police Olympics, and scored almost a perfect score. Very smart dog. Went through the Houston K-9 Police Academy, and that's where I learned how to train the dogs. It was an excellent school. And then I've trained the Malinois, I've trained Bouviers,
Okay, so I said
trained
that wrong.
Rottweilers.
Oh, Rottweilers. Those are some scary-looking animals.
One of the best dogs I had was a Rottweiler. It was pretty good.
So when a suspect, when they interact with an animal, is the sight of that dog normally enough to get them to cease what they're doing?
Yeah, usually you could pull up to a scene and say, hey, Pasadena Police, we're fixing to send the police K-9 in, and they'll give up. But there's always a few of those that decide they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, I've seen those videos where you guys you're wearing the big those body armor suits, look like the Michelin Man, and those dogs are just getting after it.
that is correct.
I cannot imagine what does it feel like when that dog is just dangling on that arm or grabbing that. I mean, you can still feel the full force.
2,000 pounds of pressure per square inch.
Gosh.
This is what a normal police K-9 can do on an arm.
that would rip an arm off or break bones or.
I have had them pull their arms out of socket.
Oh my stars! That is insanity to me.
Well, I had a sergeant one time thought he'd be cute and hide somewhere where he's not supposed to. So, for every action there's a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So he got his arm jerked out of socket and had to go to the ER. But in the future, he did what we told him to.
All right, so K-9, were you policing when tasers and those sorts of things came into vogue?
I got tased.
Okay.
When you carry a taser in Pasadena, then you have to be tased before they will let you carry one. So they didn't actually shoot you. They would tack them onto your back and then pull the trigger and electrocute you for 5 seconds.
The longest 5 seconds of your life.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'd rather be tased than pepper gas.
Well, when I was in the Marine Corps, the worst experience that I had was the CS gas training. The worst. I can't imagine that tasing would be any better than that.
Well, the good thing about tasing is as soon as you let go of the trigger, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess also, if you're a little bitty skinny guy, it doesn't hurt as much as the big guy because the more muscles you have, the more it hurts.
Oh, see, I was with you until you said muscle. I'm not skinny, but the
not,
fat just shoots it through. I guess
we're not talking about fat. We're talking about because what it actually does is it tightens up your muscles. But pepper gas, it lasts a couple of days. I don't care how much you wash, it's there.
I had to throw my fatigues away when we had that gas training. So So do you have to get pepper sprayed in police training as well?
That is correct. You stand there with your hands behind your back, and they stand about 3 feet away and spray you right in the face.
Okay. All right. Now, I have to ask a question, and I'm going to try to ask it as respectfully as I possibly can.
No, I did not cry.
No, not about that. Not about that. Because I've always wondered this. And again, my experience is movies and TV, so that's zero experience. What kind of physical fitness requirements are required of police officers, and does it vary by department or place? Because I've seen some folk that aren't quite, we see, Joe, not fleet of foot. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, not well built.
Yeah, they don't look.
You don't see that in Pasadena.
Okay, all right.
We have an agility course you have to take in order to get on, and I don't know, I haven't been there in a few years, but we would bring them back. But you can go to Pasadena. You're not going to see Mr. Donut standing on the side of the road. You're going to see the first-class police. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about anybody. I'm just saying they do. We implemented a program there that you could take 1 hour of your shift, and they preferred that you did it, and you went and you worked out every day that you were at work. Take 1 hour, you go to lunch, you get a 30-minute lunch, but you get an hour to work out. And so
you're getting paid to work out,
to stay in shape.
Oh, so that's good.
And if you don't stay in shape and you do become one of those people, then you can sit on a desk. Because if you can't run and you're with someone, then you're putting that person in danger because you can't get there to help them.
So moving from that, did you ever move into investigations or detective work or things like that? And I don't even know if I said it correctly.
No, that's correct. They have several different divisions. You had the ID division, you had the detective division, auto theft division, juvenile division, CID, patrol. But I'm going to be honest, I never really wanted to do that. Part of the reason why is when you're on patrol for a long time, before we would leave, your reports had to be done. You could not leave without your reports being done. And you go to detectives and you end up with 15, 20, 30 reports. They're not going to be done. And so you go home and you sit there and you think, well, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, and I'm not that person. It has to be done. Plus, I also went into the accident investigation division. I became a reconstructionist, so worked a lot of the DOA or fatality accidents and different things like that because I took a lot of drafting, and back then you actually had to draw the accident scenes, and nowadays they just come over there with the computer take pictures, and boop, there it is.
It's all done.
Yeah. Our computer was a slide rule. If it makes me feel any younger.
Well, you did say 1976, so that's okay.
A slide rule.
It's interesting that you said what you said about the different divisions. My brother worked for the Utah County Sheriff's Office for a long time, and he never went on patrol, not because he couldn't. He felt like he impacted more change. He stayed at the jail the entire time, and he felt like he was able to interact with the inmates there and do more good than being on the road. And so I imagine most officers find a niche that they feel comfortable with, and that's what they want to do.
Well, I did run the jail for a while, and I ran the dispatch for a while, and that was a good job, but it's just you have much more of a brotherhood on patrol.
Okay.
Because your life's on the line, their life's on the line, and it's just a whole different atmosphere. So, I mean, I liked it.
Okay. You're watching LHS Live. Joe Roberts. I'm here with special guest Terry Higginbotham and Joe Garcia. Got about 10 minutes left or so. Let's switch gears now to the reason that we have Mr. Garcia with us. After your policing career was done, you came to Liberty High School and you started the law enforcement program, right?
I did.
And since you've had this program coming through, it's can we call it award-winning? I don't know if you've done any competitions, but I know you have pushed scores of young men and women through this program.
Well, originally the way the program was set up was to teach young people how to become police officers, and we have some. And but the problem that we ran into was our students would graduate at the age of 18. And you cannot become a police officer till you're 21. So my wife, who's an educator, was a principal at Wyndham School District, which is in the prison system, and she introduced me to some people. And so we started a new program with TDCJ, kind of like a pilot program, to where when originally our kids, when they graduate, they'd go to Huntsville and they'd take a test, and if they pass the test, then they could become correctional officers. You could become a correctional officer till you're 21, and then you could transfer over and being a DPS officer. And you've already got 3 years of retirement underneath you. But then they moved it. I mean, it was such a good program, they actually came to us at Liberty High School, and they would take the test here. Now they don't even have to take the test. We, like, in the next couple of weeks, we'll go to the High Tower unit in Dayton, and they'll interview them right there. And if they want a job, then they've got a job when they graduate. They can either go to work at TDCJ. We have a new warden at Liberty County Jail who said that she will hire anyone that graduates from Liberty High School out of this program. It's a great program. We weed out a lot of kids. We start, honestly, I think I probably have about 50 freshmen in the program, and then I think Joe's going to be in the advanced class next year. We'll end up with about 12. These kids have to be able to pass a drug test. They're held at a higher standard. Joseph, they all have to do 100 hours of community service.
That's every year, right?
Every year. And how many hours do you have now, Joseph?
Around 600 to 700.
And he's only a junior, so next year he'll be in the advanced class. We had a young man, Lane, and I had a call from Huntsville the other day from the college, and they said, we want to hire this young man as in the police. And I said, well, you're not going to find a better one. He had 4,000 hours of community service by the time he graduated.
Wow, 4,000.
4,000 hours.
Wow, that is...
Wow. And he's going to become a DPS officer.
Okay. So I know you don't seek praise because that's not the personality that you are, but it seems like that speaks volumes about you and your program, that they don't even have to test anymore. Just being a part of this program is the gold standard for them to get a job right away.
We make sure that if they want to, when they graduate, if they want a job, we're going to find them a job.
Okay.
They get a security certification. They can go to work as a correctional officer. The only thing they can't do is be a police officer until they're 21. But we have several of them who went to work for TDCJ or did other things. And we have a young man who went through this program, and he's a Liberty graduate, and he's a DPS officer. His name is Daniel Hebert.
Mm-hmm.
And now I find out that he's special investigator, Daniel Hebert. You know, and I don't think you could find a better representative of Liberty High School or this program than Daniel Hebert. I mean, he's...
Yeah, I remember when he was here, he played football, just a real good kid.
You're not going to find a better young man.
His older brother, no, not his brother, is it dad?
His uncle was a DPS
Okay,
officer.
uncle. I knew somebody in his family
He
was
just
DPS.
happens to be the Justice of the Peace now.
Okay.
But you're not going to find a better representation of Liberty High School than that.
All right, Joe, let's turn it over to you for a couple of questions. So you got in the program as a freshman.
Yes, sir.
And let's see, make sure there you go, right in that mic. What have you done so far in these last couple of years that is preparing you to step into the world of law enforcement?
Well, most importantly, he taught us to always help other people. That's the first thing. Not to think about yourself, but to think about other people first. And he's helped me become a better person, a better student, and we've learned a lot about laws and the punishments, the consequences that come with it, and all those type of things.
So he mentioned all this community service that you have to get, and I know when he says 100 hours, a lot of people might hear that and think, "Oh my gosh." But it's pretty easy to get, right? Because you're always doing stuff. And I know you guys did some stuff for me recently.
Yes, sir.
What kind of activities do you engage in as far as community service goes?
Well, for the law enforcement program, we do a lot of the events that happen here for the school.
Okay.
Like,
You actually work all of them.
Yeah, I see you at every one of them.
we work the track meets, we work ceremonies, like for the Veterans Day, we were in charge of serving breakfast for the veterans and making sure the program went along smoothly. We do everything here.
All right, let me ask you this hard-hitting question because I feel like maybe the reason that Coach Higg is having you do community service is when you get into a law enforcement position, you probably need to have some empathy for the folks that you may be having to do something, I don't know how we say this, less than great. When there's an interaction with a community member and they're doing something naughty and you have to help them see the light, without empathy, would that be harder for you, do you think?
Not really, because people know the difference between right and wrong.
Okay.
They know what they're doing.
Okay. So, but is you interacting with other people and developing this spirit?
They found out at the cross-country meet
Oh, yeah.
when people want to park here and they have to park there. They found out at TVE when they were parking cars that people don't really care who you are. They're going to call you what they think you are.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the main things I wanted them to learn was that, and a lot of police officers forget this sometimes, is the number one job of a police officer to do what, Joseph?
Protect and serve.
Serve and protect. Always service first, to serve. Public servant. And so, and I had a dad one time says, "Hey, my son's not going to do public service." I said, "Why not?" Community service. I said, "Why not?" He said, "He's not a criminal." I said, "Sir, we're not picking up garbage on the side of the road." He said, "Well, he's not a criminal. He's not going to do it." So he removed him from the program. We are going to do whatever we got to do to help others, period. That's it. That's the number one job.
Well, I feel like, especially in the last several years, we've seen scores of incidents and things that have put the law enforcement community in a negative sort of light, and that is not the thing, right? That's not even close to the majority of what the law enforcement folk are doing.
And people don't seem to understand that the statistics on this is 1% of police officers are in trouble. 1% of 1%. That's the lowest percentage that you're going to find with people in the medical community, the clergy community. 1% of 1%. I mean, but which ones do they show? They're going to show the few bad. You know, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of police officers. Just think how many you show up that are being bad. You look at teachers, education.
Mm-hmm.
The police officer has a much smaller deal. And it's because they're investigated a lot more too. But you need to understand this, and I learned this a long time ago, is that if you're a police officer, if you're a teacher, if you are a public servant, you're going to live in a glass house. And you are guilty until you can prove yourself innocent. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so, but it comes with the job. That's just part of it. You learn to accept it. Just like you've learned to accept the fact that if you're a teacher, you know, you can't do things that other people do. You can't come to work the next day if you get in trouble.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
The other guy, he's going to go to work, and he's going to laugh about it, and they're going to make fun of him. But you're not coming. You're through.
You are so correct on that.
And so.
And that has definitely lorded over many decisions that I've made throughout my life.
Right.
All right, Coach. I feel like we've just barely scratched the surface, and I hate that we only had 30 minutes to talk. But I want to give you an opportunity. Your program here is amazing, and you guys are kind of self-funded, right? You have to come up with whatever money you need to push the program forward. If I were a community member and I wanted to help out your program, is there a way for me to help out? Can we donate? Is there?
Well, let me say this, and we really don't have much of a budget, but at the same time, we have never been told no. The people in Liberty are amazing. We have never gone to them for anything that we did not get. We've never gone to Dr. Absher and said, hey, look, we need this. He says, you got it. So we've never, like I said, we've never been told no.
Okay.
And it's amazing because, number one, of the people here in Liberty County, they're just really, really, really good people. But the other thing I wanted to say before we got off the air is this program is successful for one reason, and it's because of the students that are in this program. I mean, you're not going to find better students anywhere than the group that we have at Liberty High School. And the good thing, and I always say this, the law enforcement program, that's the best of the best.
Okay.
That's the best.
I won't disagree with you. Two final thoughts. We're rapidly running out of time here. Two final thoughts. Number one, there is going to be a massive, massive memorial service today for the fallen officer, Liberty graduate.
Deputy Chavez.
Yes. Are you guys helping out with that?
We are doing a different deal. We are going to have a memorial service here at the high school in the next week or so, and we're going to put up a plaque in the hallway with her picture on it, and it will be there forever. As long as this building's here, it will be there forever, because we want the students to know that, when I was talking about earlier about a perfect representation of someone, a graduate, you know, you speak about her. She was a great student at Liberty High School. She graduated, went into the military for 6 years, served her country, got out of the military, and continued a life of service as a constable, deputy constable. So, I mean, you don't get any better than this. And so the law enforcement program at Liberty High School is going to have a presentation to show what she meant to us.
Excellent. And then the last thing, got about 1 minute before we need to get off here, Coach. If you could leave our viewers with a final thought, a message of hope, something to hang their hat on, what would that be?
Well, I always try to tell my kids that our motto is Proverbs 27:17, which is, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And your job is to make sure that the person next to you is better. When you look in the mirror in the morning, you'll see a certain person, but when you look in the mirror in the evening, I hope you see a better person than you saw that morning. And I try to tell them that almost every day. Look in the mirror and make sure when you go to bed at night and you look in the mirror, that's a better person than you saw this morning.
Excellent. Thank you, Coach. You've been watching LHS Live. I'm Joe Roberts, special guest Terry Higginbotham, LHS Law Enforcement Program Coordinator, LHS Law Enforcement student Joseph Garcia. Thanks for joining in today, and we will see you next Wednesday at 9:30 for LHS Live.
Thanks for watching every Wednesday morning from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. New guests every week on relevant topics. Community-based. Student-driven. Don't forget to tune in next week for LHS Live. Thanks for